What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to the North End Podcast, episode 29. A little confused on which episode this is because it could be Micah Burton. This past weekend, it was Will Bruin. But my name is Zach Graham, your host here on the North End Podcast, joined, as always, by my good buddy, on record as my best friend. It's Ian Michaud, a.k.a. E, a.k.a. Let E James. I don't know, maybe it is you. Sebastian Drew E.C. Eastradamus, Pap E. O'Daniel, a.k.a. Chili Willie, a.k.a. Ian Stonkel. E, you look, we hung out a lot Saturday, right? We went up to Verde Hill. We'll talk about the preseason match. We went over to Hotel Vegas after the match, submitted our Austin story, right, to the folks over there. And first time I have seen you since then, you look just about as sun-kissed on your face as I felt yesterday. Very sunburned. How you feeling?
I feel good. I'm pretty sure that I got this sunburn on my very, very pale skin when I was on the phone with you for an hour outside. Okay. I'm pretty sure that's what happened because I was pretty well covered at Verde. I had my hood, I had my glasses on. I was also waving that flag for a long time, which probably gave me some intermittent shade. But yes, I do got a little color. You know, I'm not going to say that I'm tan, but I'm a little pink, which, is pretty decent for me. I'm doing well. It was quite the weekend. It was fun to get up to the hill for sure. I actually, I had some just embarrassment fear the other night in bed thinking about the recording video we made for the little Austin promo there. And trying to remember everything that I said or we said. But it was fun. And that little streamlined little trailer they had was awesome.
Yeah, it was sweet.
I'm a big Hotel Vegas fan for sure. And if we get in the release, maybe good, maybe not.
It's got to be 3 seconds of I think we submitted 2 videos, took 8 tries because they were cutting you off at 35 seconds. And hopefully there's enough in there where, we could be in that video. Cause that was the purpose. But then we obviously got to talking with some of the folks out there. Got to meet Orlando out there who works with the team. That was a fun conversation. Verdissimo stopped by and we had a little chat with him. But let's talk about the match because my first time being on Verde Hill for a full preseason match, I'd been out there twice for about a half each time I ventured out there over the past 2 seasons. Then your first time out there at all to the entire pitch in St. David's complex. So there's I think easily over 100 fans there on the hill on Saturday to watch Austin FC take on El Paso Locomotive. Again, El Paso out of the USL. Result-wise, 5-0. I think expected, right? And again, it's preseason, but if we didn't perform against these guys, especially after 2 3-2 losses out there in Florida, I have little doubt in my mind that there were points being made in the locker room. Hey, fellas, let's get on track today. Let's take care of business, even though this game doesn't count for much. So I guess overall, before we kind of get into the minutes here, which again, I know it's mostly pointless here, but we do what we do. Your overall takeaways from being out on the hill for the first time and then the 5-0 scoreline.
Oh, I had an awesome time. What a beautiful facility that was. And that bar there, that was really cool.
Over at the pitch?
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. Definitely paid Q2 prices for some drinks there, but man, it was awesome. And I'm just really grateful to have met a bunch of really awesome people there who share this collective, passion for this club. And it was just amazing to see the turnout. They've said we got the best fans in MLS, and it looked like it showed this weekend with the support out there. And we were in preseason form too, so getting all that out of the way, we looked great. I mean, from the time I had with the binoculars to trying to just watch it without those, We looked good. We looked crisp. And clearly, I mean, you know, a good experience for El Paso for sure, to come up here and get in with those guys. But I had a great time. Team looked awesome. And this Rodríguez dude just keeps killing it, man.
Yeah, we'll get to David Rodríguez here in a minute. Definitely wanted to follow up on what you said, like meeting a bunch of awesome people out there. Being able to kind of hang out a little bit with the We Are Austin TV guys there.
Yep. Awesome dudes.
Yeah. Introduced ourselves to Phil West out there. Obviously, we're big fans of Phil's work at the Striker. Yep. Got to meet RB in person. Yep. His RB boy out there with the great, the little green mask that he had, or Verde mask, I guess I should say, right? Got to see our boy Brian, right? It was a day full of Brian for us, and that
guy's a legend out there, bro.
Yeah, that was fantastic. The hair freshly dyed Verde, you know, ready for the season. So let's go ahead and get into some of the actual substance of the match here. Yes. They did go 120 minutes in this one. Again, this seems to be pretty standard soccer preseason procedure to not just play 90, when a team comes to town. So we had 2 full 45-minute halves, and then the teams did play an additional 30 minutes after that. Starting 11 there in the first half, we actually saw, and I mentioned Will Bruin earlier. Will Bruin was out there up top at the 9 and wearing number 29. Which Micah Burton had on last week in Florida. Micah Burton, who we'll talk about here in a little bit, was not with the team this weekend behind Bruin. Your starting front line behind him of Diego, Driussi, and Rigoni. Ring in the defensive midfield, accompanied by Owen Wolf, which was interesting. But I think, obviously we saw a lot of Owen Wolf on the right last year. And I believe his more natural position that he prefers is in the midfield, more probably in that 10 role where you see Driussi, but midfield nonetheless. So, and he looked good. Again, we haven't seen much of him because he was with the U20s while the team was in Florida. And then the back line, this was really great to see. You had Zahn out on the left, Lima on the right, and the center back pairing of Julio Cascante and Leo Väisänen. Brad Stuver did get the start. I think we've seen a half of Stuver in that first match against Philly, but his first start, if I recall correctly, out of these first 3 preseason matches. Got things started pretty early, got the scoring, I guess I should say. Will Bruin came down the right side, fired a shot at the El Paso keeper, and just about as Driussi a goal as there is. Right place, right time. Rebound comes right back to his feet, and he just easily kind of taps it home. That was according to, and I guess one thing we could say, right? Like we've been going on our little kind of our practice crumb adventures, right? And so we're driving up to the hill, and the team tweets out that El Paso and Austin have agreed to share details on social media today about the scrimmage, which of course the team did not do through the first 2. So. We're still out there trying to, as we put it, traffic some crumbs to the community. But the team did say, did have timestamps for these goals. Of course, no scoreboard visible to the supporters out on Verde Hill. So Driussi's goal in the 15th minute. And then not too long after that, Owen Wolf scores in the 33rd minute, which I believe on record, preseason or otherwise, is the first time we've seen him put the ball in the back of the net. And I know of at least one other time last season that he hit the post. So that's, of course, good to see. 2-0 after the first half there. I did want to talk a little bit about Väisänen because it wasn't just us. We had Bali right there next to us. Kako was right there next to us. And it was good, I think, because you and I were saying, man, Leo looks good, taking turns looking through the binoculars. And the murmurs from those other guys, of course, who are very tuned in to not just this team, but soccer in general, right? It seemed like good reviews for Väisänen all around. Was there anything you saw from him you wanted to talk about?
First, how large he is. That looks great on that back line for us. I mean, I still have nightmares of LAFC's just mutant giant back line. Really just obscuring all of our views and getting all the head balls. So yeah, Väisänen looked good, man. It looked like he slotted in and felt it. To me, it was good to see that he felt comfortable.
Yeah.
It didn't look like he was like really out of place. Building the chemistry with the guys in the limited amount of time he has had was nice to see. But I mean, we just looked crisp from front to back to front. Having Stuver back there with that command, obviously leading the guys in the back is going to be huge in this upcoming season with the departure of Ruben. But I'm excited for Leo, man. And it looks like he's going to do you think he's going to get that starting spot, right?
Absolutely. I would be shocked, especially after seeing Leo start this past Saturday. Like, I think that's your center back pairing. And I do think Lima ends up winning the spot on the right. Like, I don't think I've really ever wavered from that. We had a lot of speculation with the Lundqvist signing that John Gallagher may move over to the right, because we know that he's very capable of playing in just about any spot outside of like center back and keeper, I think. But I do think we're gonna see Johnny on the left and Lima on the right, and I think Cascante and Väisänen is the center back pairing, at least to start the season. And yeah, like the like you mentioned, 100% agree that he looked comfortable. You could see at times, when we're watching through the binoculars and you're seeing him interact with Stuver and communicate with the other defenders out there, and looking really comfortable with the ball at his feet, which is very important for that position in Coach Wolf's system. So yeah, it was a good, and maybe we should have expected him to start, but like, we've had just the multiple new additions, whether it was before a season or in the summer transfer window, where guys get signed and announced and then they don't debut for weeks and sometimes over a month. So like to see Leo, like, it's just the timeline has been sped up from what my expectation was, going back to him showing up as a surprise in Florida last week. And that wasn't the only surprise personnel-wise that we had, but we'll get to some of those here in a bit. So any other takeaways from this first 11? I mean, Diego Driussi, Rigoni. I thought Rigoni looked good.
He did look good.
We've said that so many times on this podcast, right? And then I also thought Will Bruin was just fine. Like, my big worry about him is like old man.
Yeah,
right.
Sure. Yeah.
So he looked fine, and he's a big guy too.
Let's hope he has some, old man hold up game.
Right.
Some old man back to the basket, back to the goal kind of game that we can work out of to try to supplement the loss of, probably Moose's top 3 skill on the pitch there. But I thought Bruin looked nice, and it looked again like he had solid chemistry with these other guys up front, which, when you're a career soccer journeyman, and you're playing with guys who know the game, it fits right in. But again, to your point, with Väisänen out of the back, I wanted to say that the balls that he was pushing up the field, the passes he was making up the field were crisp. They looked good, and hopefully can, assuage a little bit of our worry and this back line with the turnovers that lead to sometimes catastrophic goals. Yeah,
no doubt. 100% agree there. I was looking up because I don't remember who said it, so I apologize that I can't credit the appropriate person right now, but I believe Will Bruin is up there in terms of like all-time goals in MLS. So I'm trying to find that now. Yep, he's 25th all-time in the league with 87 MLS goals, so that's tied with Josie Altidore, one behind Dom Dwyer. So again, getting up there in age, and if you look at appearances to total number of goals scored, he's certainly not the most efficient goal scorer, like per appearance, but on that list nonetheless, a top 25 goal scorer all time. So
definitely.
And the fact, right, that we know how important MLS veterans have been to this club, whether in the kind of, the disappointing first year or the overachieving maybe second year. It's just, I'm feeling better and better about the potential signing. Again, he is still technically a trialist and not a member of the team, but all signs point to him being signed here before the 25th, right?
I would be shocked if we don't keep him. And I agree. I have definitely warmed up to the prospect of him. Now that the shock of losing Moose is kind of over, and we got to look forward to what we're going to do. And this looks like a very solid backup, or, it's a very solid plan to have in there outside of Moose. But yeah, man, 87 goals, that's nothing to scoff at, no matter how many games you've played in.
For sure.
So that's shout out to anonymous person who said that. If you get that figured out, definitely throw him some credit, because I never would have guessed that. And it's actually really cool to hear.
So at the half, there was only 2 changes. Will Bruin came off, Ethan Finley came in, Emiliano Rigoni came off, and David Rodríguez, preseason standout, came in. And so, Bruin coming off, no striker coming back on. So we did see for about 20 minutes there, kind of that false 9 type of look that we I think Landon Cotham, right from Moon Tower, kind of prognosticated last week from the videos that Diego was playing this false 9 role against Cincinnati a week and a half ago. And then we did see some of that look. And again, Kako, I think, was the one that pointed it out to me when we were on the hill, that Diego was playing that same role up there.
Okay.
So only those two changes at the half. And then about 15 minutes into that second half, we get 2 more changes. Everybody's favorite, Rodney Redis, comes in for Diego. And then a change on the back line, Sal Mazzaferro, again, the 72nd pick, from the super draft in December, comes on for Väisänen. And then for another 10 minutes, we continue to see that similar false 9 type of look, now with Driussi playing that role. And Driussi picks up an assist. So a goal and an assist for him on the day, a cheeky little header over to David Rodríguez, who in the 70th minute slotted home his second preseason goal. So 3 games with the first team here in the preseason for David Rodríguez, 3 times in the box score, 2 goals and 1 assist so far on the preseason. Do you think that there's maybe any second thoughts now by the front office in signing him to an FC2 contract and now not being able to actually use this kid on the first team? Because preseason or not, he's been impressive.
I agree. I don't know if they feel that way about it, to be honest. I mean, he's still young. We haven't seen him under the actual bright lights. And to his credit, he has made the most of his opportunity, blown it out of the water. He's been great. I don't know. I mean, we're solidified where he's at right now. I feel confident in who we have up there. And I mean, it's promising to see, what he's going to eventually, hopefully, turn into for this squad. And even Mazzaferro has gotten a lot
of time.
He's gotten a lot of time. And I mean, it's a promising notion to see both of those kids in those roles and doing well.
Absolutely.
If there's any regret from the front office, maybe, they're human. Maybe you see this kid going off and you're like, shit. But probably not. I don't think he was part of the plan, moving forward.
Right. And at least, again, like you said, at least they do have him under contract for FC2. And if you can keep him in the system and he keeps improving, then again, this torrid pace will not keep up no matter which team he's on. But certainly looking like right now, one of the guys to watch early on the FC2 squad.
Absolutely.
It's certainly going to be one of the names that we know for sure when we see them play first. And to your point about Mazzaferro, I think, great to see him getting so much time, because again, the preseason isn't so much about trust between the coaching staff and a young player like that, but they're certainly giving him a lot of time. And it does, to me, kind of lean into the idea that even as the 72nd pick, they're going to try to keep him around in the system on an FC2 contract. And I think that's good, right? Like if you can actually keep these use these draft assets, which doesn't seem to be necessarily commonplace in MLS. Because even you look at first round picks from the first draft when we got Danny, right? Philip Mayaka was kind of the the consensus number one.
Yeah.
And I think he ended up dropping to like 6 to Colorado. And I don't think he ever played for Colorado, and he's already gone from there. So again, like, yeah, the draft assets in MLS are a lot more volatile than certainly you or I are used to draft picks, being. And so if you get anything, even just out on FC2 out of the 72nd pick, I think that's good business.
That's good business, and it bodes well.
So then in the 71st minute, let me pull up. I want to get because I believe it was 5 subs right after that Rodríguez goal that was assisted by Seva.
That's right. Were we the ones who started the false information about Rodney Redis scoring that goal?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I think we tweeted Redis goal 3-0.
Yeah.
And then like 30 seconds later, quote tweeted like, "Oops, Rodríguez goal," and the Redis goal still got like 30 likes, I think, and nobody paid attention to the Rodríguez.
I had to apologize.
I mean, look, man, when that dude scores, and we'll have our own version of over/under picks between you and I coming up here before the season starts. Redis goal's certain to be one, and I do think he gets one this year at least. And the Q2 might explode, and we're gonna have to rebuild it and call it Q3 or something. Because, I mean, dude, like, as much shit as we give the guy, how happy are we all gonna be when he finally gets on the score sheet?
We will be ecstatic.
So, okay, they again struggling here with the technology, but I think I've got it now. The subs that were made right after that goal. In Kip Keller, Hector Jimenez, John Gallagher, Sofiane Jeffel, and Maxi Urruti, which, again, not sure if he got a little bit of time out there in Florida. None was documented on social media, so we'll call it his preseason debut for this season. Good to see Maxi back out there. Those guys replaced Driussi, Lima, Cascante, Kolmanic, and Alex Ring. And the new group did not waste any time because literally on the next play, 72nd minute, Ethan Finley, a fantastic volley right over the El Paso keeper to make it 4-0 in the 72nd minute. And that is how the first 90 finished 4-0 Austin. And so I guess any takeaways for you from that second half? Because I think for me, after that fourth goal, the majority of my attention was on the side fields and who was warming up. That's
literally what I was about to say, was that I definitely started paying attention to what was going on right in front of us. At that point where we're up 4-0, clearly, just doing whatever we want to this team. Right. It was interesting to see the guys on the sideline, and I know we'll probably touch on that in a little bit here.
Yeah. So, specifically relating to the last 30 minutes or the additional 30 minutes that these two teams played, right before that Rodríguez goal in the 70th minute, we're passing the binoculars back and forth, and I'm looking at all the kind of stuff off to the side. Like first half, I found Adrian Healy way on the other side. I'm looking at things like that, right?
Yeah.
And I see this tall, looking like about 6'4", athletic looking dude.
Yep.
Standing next to the Austin bench. And is that Amro Tarek? There's no way this guy's here, right? Turns out it was Amro Tarek. All 6'4" of them, and had his full like travel gear on. So I think the first commentary I fired off on our Twitter account was like, Amro Tarek's here. Doesn't look like he's gonna play. Then 10 minutes later, strips those warm-ups off, comes over to the side field with some of the training staff, and starts getting warmed up. And awesome. Sure enough, the final 30 here for Austin had a bunch of subs. Bersano came in for Stuver. Stuver getting the full 90 in there was good to see. It really felt like the first real dress rehearsal for some of those, locked in starters who didn't get a lot of time out there in Florida. So the final 11 here that we saw was Bersano in net, Urruti up top, Finley, Redis, and David Rodríguez in the midfield. We also saw the preseason debut that we know of of Jackson Valty, who I believe was the 56th overall pick. Sophie Jeffel stayed in there, Jimenez and Gallagher at the fullback positions, and then the center back pairing of Kip Keller and the debut of Amro Tarek. So I guess talk to me about your Tarek takeaways, because I know that he was a hot topic once we all kind of on the hill saw that, yeah, that's him, he's here. So what did you think about him physically, performance-wise? I mean, the fact that he's here and getting game time it's very encouraging.
I mean, we'll touch on, or at least I will, we will touch on the vast difference between what we saw from Johan Romaña on the sideline and what we saw from Amro Tarek. So Johan was doing some sprints. How hard he was running those sprints is up for debate. But after the second or third one?
I saw 3. I think I actually listened to this morning. Top Flight guys put out their episode for this week, and I think Hernan said he thought 4 or 5. Regardless, it was not very long.
No, and that man was down on one knee, and he was down for a little while.
Winded.
He was not like it did. He didn't just drop down, pop back up.
Yeah.
And it's even more interesting because he was in sight of everyone. We could see you, bro. This is what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
And then to see Tarek and how he prepared himself to get ready to come into a preseason game for only 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Was night and day.
Yep.
And it looks like a guy who, takes being a professional, very seriously, takes his job very seriously. And I'm not going to shit all over Romaña. But I mean, I am definitely just frustrated with his inability to get ready to play.
Yeah. We all are, right? At this point.
It's just not okay. Yeah. So in the limited time I did see of Tarek, I don't think I have any glaring observations, negative or positive. Obviously his size, even with what I mentioned with Väisänen, it looks good. And then him and Kip pairing there's 2 sizable guys in the back.
Yeah.
So, I don't have too much. He looked good. He looked good. It looked like he's ready to play. He's clearly fit. He's clearly in shape. So that means, we can probably amp up his schedule in terms of when we can see him in actual meaningful time, which again has been a frustration with, us getting international players over here. And then when do they show up? And it gets delayed 2-3 months, whatever it may be. So I'm very excited for him. And, everything's just kind of coming together. We're seeing it now. And if I feel bad for Romaña because he's not going to be a part of it.
Yeah. And we saw the rumors, right, circulating last week that Club Olimpia in Paraguay, we're in talks to get Romaña. I don't remember if it was on loan or just a full transfer or what, but potentially Romaña maybe not long for this roster anymore. But we'll see. There hasn't been any official communication or information, I don't think. Was
there something holding that deal up?
To be honest, I'm not sure. Let me scroll back here because I think we definitely retweeted that rumor, and I think it was We Are Austin. Yeah. So according to the report, and again, this is We Are Austin, just translating a report that comes from a South American Twitter outlet.
I could not.
According to the report, Romaña has an agreement with Olympia for the 2023 season, but some other things have to happen in order for the transfer to be completed, but likely to go through. So maybe we're just in a holding pattern here, and it's a matter of time. And if that's the case, then fine. And I hope he is still continuing to work his way into shape for that new club, because of course we wish the guy the best, no matter where he goes.
There's some places he could go.
Sure. I guess if he stayed in the state, especially in this league.
It's a big state. It's a big state.
Yeah. Maybe we can just transfer him to El Paso. Then 110th minute there, Maxi Urruti with kind of a little chip shot goal over the keeper on the run.
Yep.
Somewhat reminiscent of the goal he scored up in Montreal this year, albeit that was a man down and in a game that counted. But he's got that little chip shot.
It's sneaky.
Left bumper B. He's got that down.
Yeah. Doesn't sail over the top post either.
Yeah. So a couple other takeaways. You mentioned Romaña doing the sprints. Another guy who was with him, Charlie Asensio, who, again, working his way back from an injury, has shed the arm sling that he had in that picture that was posted a few weeks back. So hopefully that means Asensio nearing a return and can get some time here in the last 3 preseason matches that we have over the next 12 days. The remaining 3 are packed into about, I think, an 8-day period there.
Yeah,
so
it's
everybody's going to play.
Is there some sort of like unwritten kind of rule in MLS as well as we see in NFL where like your last preseason game, you're just like playing some no-name guys?
That I don't know. I would hope.
That's a substantial amount of games in a short amount of time.
100%. I mean, I would think that we probably see those main guys, your Stuvers, your Driussis, your Fagundes, and the like, right? I think you probably see those guys play another game, one more of these 3 for real. And then I would guess no more than another half in the other 2 games for those guys, especially against these 2 USL teams with Louisville coming to town this week and then Sacramento next Wednesday. A couple other things, though, that we were able to just kind of observe from the Hill. Well, you didn't need to be on the Hill to observe this. Danny Pereira didn't play. I assume it's just a precautionary thing. Maybe he felt some tightness somewhere or just a rest day. I didn't come away from that feeling too concerned about Danny, but we did see CJ Fodrey jogging by himself off to the side and not in game gear like Asensio or Romaña were. And we haven't seen Fodrey debut yet, or at least confirmed play in any of these 3 matches. So, I mean, I think it's all, like all signs point to Fodrey got injured at some point in Florida. And I think I'm just glad because, like, we didn't know what was going on. And at least to see him out there jogging, like, I don't think I ever saw him run full speed, but it's clearly not dire, whatever it is, right? Again, if it is injury related. So,
it was good to see him. Obviously would have loved to have seen some more from him, but I think your speculation here is right that, he's banged up, something happened, and just working him back into good shape. Yeah.
So again, shout out to everybody out there in the Hill. The footage from inside the park, you could hear, Lamerga was out there. We're getting our chant practice in there too, which is good. And you could really hear it over there on the field. So a really fun experience. And we'll see. I think our plan is to go out there for the Louisville match as well, because that was a blast, and I'll go do it again. Although I will have sunscreen this time.
I really can't understate how awesome it was. And if you're on the fence about going or not going, you should probably go. It was really fun.
Absolutely.
And it was just a great way to meet so many awesome supporters as well.
Well, let's go ahead and get into our last business day segment here. Again, that's the Austin FC2 talk here. Not a ton this week. I don't think we have had any more signings officially announced, but we did get the Austin FC2 preseason schedule, which actually kicked off this past Saturday. I think you and I had kind of seen that the schedule got released and then not really like looked at it too closely. And then we showed up on Verde Hill on Saturday and there's people playing at Palmer Field over by the pitch. And it turns out that was Austin FC2's first preseason match. They took on Alamo City SC. There are 6 more preseason matches for FC2, all on weekends. And so, like, I guess that's the first thing I wanted to kind of point out there. At least, like, the way I look at this preseason schedule is just like it looks like a college team or like an AAU like schedule, right? We're just gonna play on Saturdays, right?
Because you can't be having these kids out on 6th Street Friday night. That's why they play Saturday.
So the remaining 6 this coming Saturday, which, I mean, we may have a similar cadence here where they play before the first team out there, because this is going to be in Austin on Saturday, taking on Dynamo 2 out of Houston there. So I don't know what we call Copa Tejas for Next Pro, but I feel like we got to have one, right? For those guys,
yes,
just a miniature version of the Copa. Right?
We got junior bacon cheeseburger.
Whoever, the Copa Tejas committee, whoever handles that competition and the trophy. Hey, you free use. Get that little, the copita, I guess is maybe what you call it. I don't know. So preseason match against Dynamo 2 this Saturday. The next weekend, Florida International University. The following weekend, Houston Christian University. So we're playing some college teams there, which I think makes sense. We have some, guys that have aged out of the academy, like Anthony D'Anda there, who is, that age, right? And so, playing professionally instead of going the college route. So makes sense age-wise to play some of these college teams, I think.
That's cool. I would like to see that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah. So they're actually going Florida International, that is in Miami, which actually that I'm putting 2 and 2 together here. That's February 18th. One of the preseason matches that was added this past weekend for the first team is at Inter Miami on the 18th. So that makes sense. Both teams going out to Miami in 2 weeks. Then into March here, going out to, or I should say down to play Rio Grande Valley, FC Toros. That's the full name of that squad. And then no specific date here, but week of March 10th, playing Richland College. And then week of March 17th, actually just an inter-squad scrimmage. And that Richland will take you up to, what's that?
Richland?
Yeah, Richland. Yeah.
Oh, I got long-standing beef with them.
Do you?
Long-standing beef.
I don't know if Havens is still there or not, but that's where John Havens is at. Did you ever meet Havens?
I don't know if he was around when they beat us in the tournament, but
maybe
they won the national championship the year they beat us.
Right. I think that might have been right before, because so Havens was the assistant at St. Ed's when me and Wacker got recruited. This is just enthralling audio for everybody who just unless you're a fan of small college basketball in Texas,
I got
no idea. So,
I was triggered.
So a couple other things here on the Austin FC side of things. We mentioned Micah Burton not with the team. Let me pull up. I believe he got called up to the U17s. This is going to be on the academy account. Here you go. Called up to the U17 U.S. Youth National Team squad for the CONCACAF U17 Championship, which is set to take place starting February 11th through the 26th in Guatemala. There are 4 teams, or the 4 teams that reach the semifinals in this tournament will qualify for the U17 World Cup in Peru later this year. So obviously we've seen Micah Burton represent the United States youth national team multiple times. Last year, he scored multiple times for the team. And so just, great to see them coming back to the Micah Burton well, right? And him getting that experience. So they will face Barbados on the 11th, Trinidad and Tobago on the 13th, Canada on the 15th. Those are the 3 group stage games there for the U17. So we'll keep an eye on Micah Burton and the U17s out there. He is one of 4 players from the Austin FC organization so far to earn a youth national team call-up this year, alongside Owen, of course, and then Irvin Torres with the U16s and Gavin Wolf with the U15s.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So are you not privy to the youngest Wolf there that is with the academy?
No, they got the whole pack there.
And he is a center back. So breaking the mold there, the Wolf mold. Is obviously, we talked about the all-time goal scorers earlier. Josh Wolf is on that list. I think he's 19th. And obviously Tyler and Owen both forwards. So Gavin on the back line there.
2029 about to be lit.
Yeah. We kind of touched on this already, but Austin FC added 2 more preseason matches. February 15th at Q2. That's closed to the public, reportedly, just so they can test the new Apple TV setup. again, I'm not the first person to say this, but wouldn't you want to test the equipment with the supporters making noise? I don't know. We'll see.
What kind of equipment are they testing?
I don't know. I mean, so I'm hoping, and again, I think this information is probably out there if I went to look for it, but you'd have to imagine we're going to have more camera angles in the stadiums now, because we've had some controversial plays. Bruin was part of one where there's not really a clear angle to find offside, and so I imagine that's part of it. Apple setting up their audio equipment where to position that. I don't know, but I imagine it's mostly a teardown of what was in there in terms of a broadcast setup with the local crew, and implementing whatever Apple's got, which I'm sure is high dollar, high end stuff. Not that the local broadcast wasn't, but
for sure,
it's that Apple money.
We might have to get EG in there and let him do a little
right
TV shooting.
And then the second preseason match, like we mentioned, February 18th at Inter Miami. I do share the frustration of some of the fans, that some of the fans have voiced already about Inter Miami having like a fan fest that day and being open to the public for that game, and us not being able to get with the team really at all outside of being on the Hill. Yeah. And speaking of the Hill, this Saturday coming up, Louisville City coming to town. We're planning on being out there again, and we encourage you again, like you said, anybody on the fence, go ahead, go out, come out there. It's a blast. Last thing here on the Austin FC side, and it's not really Austin FC anymore, but we'll always have love for him. Moussa Djitté did make his League One debut out there in France. Came on for, again, Ajaccio, I don't know, but his new French league club debuted in the 74th minute, 2-0 loss at the hands of Nantes out there. Again, pronunciation, a question mark. I did notice. I went, I want to see. I didn't have film of this game. Didn't get to watch the full 16 minutes of the Moose out there. So I went to FotMob. They have their little algorithm with their player ratings. 32 players touched the pitch. Moose tied for the second lowest player rating out there. So not many places to go but up for the Moose out there. And 16 minutes in League One, that's great, man. Keep it going. And they are on the cusp of bringing themselves out of the relegation zone there. So I'm going to keep an eye on him, man.
We're rooting for Ajaccio now. Ajaccio.
And he's still technically an Austin FC player because he's on loan, right? Yeah. So
the roots are here.
Exactly. And so, if that's on the border between Austin FC talk and other soccer talk, we'll go ahead and move into the other soccer talk here. And maybe not soccer talk, but we talked about Apple TV, MLS Season Pass debuted on February 1st. There is an amazing amount of content there. And so, I know you haven't seen any because they only gave us one. They didn't give out codes per seat. It's per membership. And so I'm going to have to get you that family share on there so you can watch some of this stuff. Because, man, there is season in review, player profiles, ritual, summaries. They did the Heartbeat of Austin video. Yeah. All that type of stuff is on there. And there's stuff for all 29 teams. And so that's why I'm trying to make my way through not just the Austin stuff, but watch some of the stuff for these other teams and just kind of get a better handle. And obviously we have a full season to watch all of that stuff, but the entire 2022 season is on there. They did make it a little tough you have to start the recap and then pause it and then change it to the full 90, but you can get there.
Okay.
So I did watch a half of the Cincinnati match from last year, and that was a fun 45 minutes.
I was going to ask you about what was going on with the Apple TV thing because I had not heard anything, but I see that now. I also did not get one of those special cards.
Yeah. But I believe you can share it because, again, if we're a family of four, right, or if we're just four buddies instead of two, we only get one code, you got to be able to share it with all the people that have the season tickets. So we'll figure that out here this week and get you on some of that content. I went to sleep to the MLS review show, which was a 45-minute season-long recap of the entire just MLS last season. And that was a really well-made video and kind of took me back through. I remember when those two teams played that game and Austin showed up plenty, of course.
Yeah,
in
I would
that
love
video.
to do that. And I mean, everyone that I've talked to about it have had great things to say, particularly about the Austin FC content.
Other thing that came out that's not necessarily like fully soccer related, but is at least fun for us to take a look at and probably and talk some shit about. The Forbes rankings in terms of franchise valuations came out for this year. I guess, we've done this before, so I'll ask you, where do you think Austin fell in terms of the 29 MLS teams?
Well, I know.
Oh, okay.
I know. I saw your very classy tweet.
So Austin was seventh. Austin was seventh. $680 million valuation there, which I believe last year I think was $575 million. So that's what a winning season will do for you.
That's like
if
13
you're a young
doses
club.
cheese.
Or 2 jellyfish. Up top, both LA franchises, unsurprisingly, but LAFC topping 1 billion.
Galaxy is still up there?
Galaxy number 2, 925 million. And the face you're making, I guess they don't factor like having fans in.
Oh, yeah, I was like, what? That's not a factor into the valuation of a club if you have 0 fans.
Top 5 rounded out: Atlanta number 3, New York City FC number 4, DC United number 5 at 700 million. And then again, you mentioned the other 2 notables here: number 22, Houston Dynamo FC; number 26, FC Dallas. So poverty franchises, to say the least. Any other takeaways from you on the franchise valuations?
Yes. What stood out to me after the Galaxy, I want to go to a game in Atlanta.
Yeah. We missed our chance last year. We just played there.
I would love to go to a game in Atlanta. And spend $20 on concessions.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire
Shout out Arthur Blank, man.
Yeah, I was going to say, shout out to them for being third. What were they, 4th?
Yes, third for Atlanta United.
The best deals in all of sports over there. I don't know. I don't know how they evaluate these things if you're not taking into account that one team is just devoid of their supporters.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll see how that situation develops. Again, I hope it looks like,
because it looks like they took it into account for Dallas.
We'll end it right there. I don't think I can top that.
Okay.
We did see, so while Austin was playing this past Saturday, the Seattle Sounders made the first ever appearance by an MLS club in the FIFA Club World Cup. They had a bye to round 2, and we're taking on Al Ali SC. And the Sounders put out a really, I think, admirable performance. They started hot. I think in the 43rd minute, it was 7 shots for the Sounders, none for Al Ali. So the Sounders were the aggressors early, but ultimately ends in heartbreak for the Sounders. Gave up an 88th minute goal to Al Ali. So that game, the prize for winning that match would be a date against Real Madrid. So likely the end for either team. In this matchup, but just the idea that Seattle could have played Real Madrid in a meaningful match, I was really, again, we will never cheer for the Sounders against Austin, but in this situation, I really wanted those guys to advance.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. Just the experience alone for all those guys, and obviously the notoriety MLS can gain.
For sure.
That would have been awesome. It's a cruel game, giving up a goal in the 88th that you feel like you've been the better team. So
no doubt. And Austin FC has a chance, not much of a chance, but a chance nonetheless to be representing CONCACAF at that Club World Cup if they can come out on top in the CONCACAF Champions League. So again, that's one of the multiple rewards you get for finishing as the champion of that competition. So here's hoping we give it everything we have in that competition.
Baby. Yeah.
two more things here. More personnel centric here. Inter Miami, quote, remains in the Messi sweepstakes, and they're described as, quote, confident in their position. We've talked about this multiple times. We know the back and forth where some people say, oh, it's a done deal. He's going back to PSG, or he hasn't made up his mind, or now he's thinking somewhere else. And throughout this entire time, shout out the Levitard show, or Levitard and Friends, I believe is what they're called now. Mike Ryan Ruiz there, big Miami, like the Mr. Miami almost at this point.
Whoa. What about Pitbull?
Yeah, it's Mr. Worldwide.
Oh, that's right.
Anyways, I love Mike Ryan, and he's maintained throughout this entire ordeal that Miami are not out of the Messi sweepstakes. And I mean, again, if there's any more reason for us to hurry up and buy these plane tickets for the July 1st match out there, today's rumor update would be it. We've spoken about the potential for Messi to be there. So any other thoughts from you on this?
My thoughts would be we should just pick up the tickets to the game before this potentially happens. Maybe
buy more tickets than we need.
Yeah, maybe we could do like a Ticketmaster situation. Really gouge these people. I mean, shit. If he comes to Miami, God help us all.
There's an AKA in there somewhere. We'll figure it out for next episode. Okay. Last thing I wanted to touch on here from other MLS news, Julian Araujo, we talked about last week on deadline day, was supposed to be transferred to Barcelona. Will not happen because apparently one of these two teams, either the Galaxy or Barcelona, are the Chris Wacker of soccer and cannot get their deals in before the trade deadline. And there's 6 people in the world that will get that reference, but we love each and every one of them. So paperwork filed 18 seconds late. Both clubs were hopeful that FIFA would review the matter and overturn that, and FIFA said no. I mean, you didn't file the paperwork on time. So that's unfortunate, man, because again, we want to see MLS players go to the biggest clubs in the world. That would have been awesome. So I think ultimately that's a bummer. And also getting Araujo out of the Western Conference would have also been a nice bonus.
Yeah, it would have been great for us from the Austin FC standpoint. And can you imagine you're about to go to FC Barcelona?
Yeah.
And you're 18 seconds behind.
Yeah.
like you can't go. Like,
somebody's got to get fired for that, right? Somebody somewhere, even if it's just like the intern. You don't get that deal done?
It's absurd. And it's actually like it's absurd. I don't even know how that happens.
Well, will that even happen now? Because they're in the middle of their season, right? So it's not, I don't think in the summer transfer window, they're going to be like, oh, well, this is maybe they stick with him as their right back of choice in the market. But I don't think that's going to happen now for him. So I feel bad for him.
Yeah. They have a standard reputation to uphold.
Well, I think that's gonna do it for the soccer talk. Our shortest episode in months, I think, which is kind of funny given that now we have actual soccer to talk about, and we continued our nonsense throughout the off season for an hour plus for 8 episodes in a row. But we do have a little bit of nonsense to talk about. It's really just a preview of the nonsense to come tomorrow night, and you may be listening to this even after Tuesday, but Tuesday, February 7th. 7:15 p.m. Central Time. We're a worldwide podcast, so we just gotta get that straight. Best ball draft. Okay, so again, if you're unfamiliar with what best ball is, it's a type of just fantasy sports, a fantasy draft where you think about your fantasy football, right? With the NFL, that's the most popular fantasy sport there is, and if you get together with your friends, your family, your coworkers, whomever. You draft a team and you make ads and drops all year and you set your starting lineup. We're going to draft. And then in best ball, you do no roster management at all. It's just the top. In our league, again, this is completely manual on our part.
Yeah.
In this league, we're going to draft 5 forwards, 5 midfielders, 3 defenders, and 2 goalkeepers. And each week, your highest scoring 2 forwards, 2 midfielders, highest scoring defender, and highest scoring goalkeeper based on MLSsoccer.com, the official fantasy game there. We're using their scoring.
Yep.
And so your top 6 scorers each week make up your team's points. And there are going to be 4 teams in this league. You and I, North End Pod team, of course. And then 3 of, I would say, everybody's favorite Austin FC podcast, but certainly ours. Moon Tower Soccer will be here. So Landon and Jeremiah drafting a team. We Are Austin TV, aka the Top Flight guys, right? Those guys will be here and have a team. And then Texas Ring of Fire. Shout out to Harry down there in San Antonio and Alex here in Austin and Sam out there in Houston and all those guys that work on Texas Ring of Fire. But this is an Austin FC league. So RB22 will be here representing Texas Ring of Fire. So 4-team league. Draft tomorrow night on our YouTube channel at the North End Pod. It will also be simulcast on our Twitter. But if you want to join in the conversation or just leave a comment, maybe talk shit on somebody's draft pick or anything of the sort, comment in the YouTube chat. Those are the comments that we can pull in and see while we are conducting the draft. So I'm very excited to do this with all of those guys. All these like really bright, locked in soccer minds, especially around Austin FC. And then I'm excited to compete with something, fantasy wise, just because that's literally what I do for a living. So
yeah, you definitely don't get enough of that, man.
But yeah, first ever in history, ever
baby.
MLS best ball draft. We're making history tomorrow.
That's
so
right.
We hope to see everybody there, 7:15 p.m. Your thoughts as we close things out here?
Super excited for it. Can't wait to get down to business. Shout out to all those guys, like you said, coming in and joining in on this historic event.
Yeah.
Should be fun. I hope some people chirp a little bit,
Yeah.
get the competitive juices flowing. And I'm assuming we will be updating the people who are thirsty for this
every week.
Okay.
Every week we'll have score updates. Everybody, who's players, the players on each team that qualified for the score that week, right?
Yep.
We'll have graphics for that. We'll have standings, and also I'll shout out Los Nerds Verdes. If you're not following them on Twitter, do it now. Like as soon as this podcast is over in a minute, do that. They reached out and said they love the idea and they want to do some data visualizations. That is their specialty. I love that kind of stuff. And so I'm super excited to kind of partner with them on that and see what they can cook up around our little silly idea here. So yeah, it's going to be a season long thing. And I think, we'll talk to those guys. As long as everything goes well, I think we'll probably do like a little mid-season, like transfer window pod. Maybe we can have a little, and we'll do like a silly process where it's like, a reverse order of standings. We go through 3 times. You can replace it. We'll figure it out. But I think aligning that with the actual MLS transfer window will be fun to also maybe kind of do like a round table type of thing with those guys and maybe discuss the league and the team more while we also, talk about our best ball competition and maybe make some changes there. But yeah, all kinds of things we can do with this. Super excited.
Yeah.
Again, we appreciate everybody tuning in, sticking with us here. Make it right under the wire, just under an hour. First time in months for sure that we have been this concise. And we hope to see everybody tomorrow night. But if you've got 5 seconds to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. Or if you're listening on the YouTube channel, and you can hit that subscribe button there. You can hit the notification bell to know when we post a new episode or when we go live, like tomorrow night for the best ball draft. Certainly have some live streaming content in the plans during the season this year. So also looking forward to that. And if you're on that YouTube video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. Helps us with the old algorithm. So we will be back with another episode next week. And of course, tomorrow night with the best ball draft, which will show up in audio form on the podcast feed. So we will see everybody tomorrow night. Until then, he's Ian. I'm Zach. Vamos Austin FC. Goodbye.
3, 2, 1.